Rick Robinson here. It is Zoom into Book time. Zoom into Book is, of course, the premier author interview selection spot on your internet. And we are here today at the American Library Association 2025 edition in Philadelphia, PA, meeting some wonderful authors, and I have a great author. You're going to love this book. I'm going to try and get all the names right here. Robin Okumu. Robin, you have written a wonderful biography of Gordon Okumu, crossing the Waiyaki, crossing the Waiyaki Bridge. Okay, I got all the first names that I'm going to have trouble with out of the way. So help me out here. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Yes. So, Crossing Waiyaki Way, subtitle, A True Story of Poverty, Prayer, and Politics in Kenya. So, as the title suggests, it's a true story, it's a biography. It's the story of my husband, Gordon. He's here on the cover. It's his life growing up as an orphan in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya, and then rising into national politics, surviving threats and assassination attempts, and then finally coming to the US in 2016 to seek political asylum. So both of our names are on the cover, you see here, which means we wrote it together. So we are co-authors technically. You know, it was definitely a collaboration, but he always says that he is the story and I am the writer. So he told me everything and I wrote it down.
So tell me a little bit about, there's Gordon right there.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about Gordon's background. Where he grew up in poverty in
Yes. So I know
from an orphanage.
Some spoilers, but this is the story. So he was born in rural western Kenya in an area named Migori. But when he was 6 years old, his father died in a car accident. And then he and his mother moved to Nairobi. And then when he was 14, his mother died of typhoid, which is a waterborne disease. And they were living in the slums. You know, she was a hustler. She was doing everything for her son, and they didn't have money for medicine. And so, you know, so he was 14, and then after that, he basically decided he was going to make his own way in the world on his own terms, even though, you know, the society and the culture at the time thought he was cursed. To be an orphan, to lose your parents is very bad, you know, and everyone thought that he was destined for poverty, you know, to fade into obscurity. But I'm totally biased.
No, no, you have me. You have me hooked now. How does he go from that
right.
into politics?
Well, I mean, that's partly why I wanted to write this. He wanted to write this because I am just endlessly fascinated. You know, he's my husband too, but he has this kind of wealth of courage, and he never stopped believing in himself and in the worth of his dreams and his ability, and thought that he could always achieve what he wanted. And so he's really ambitious, always. And so it's a twisting and turning story, of course. It's one of these like truth is stranger than fiction kind of books. But he actually then, after high school, he studied to become a Catholic priest and thought he would be a priest, and went to the seminary for a while, and then discerned that was not his calling in life, and then went to university and got into university leadership. Because he, ever since his youth and his mother's situation, he wanted to make life better for people, and thought, well, maybe that's through religion, you know, through helping people and through prayer. But then he thought maybe it's through politics and through government and leadership, you know. And so tried that route.
Both take a lot of faith.
That's true. I mean, he's still a very faithful person.
So what was his role in politics in Kenya?
Oh, yeah. So,
or was he in Kenya or Nairobi at the time?
He was in Nairobi, which is in Kenya. Right. So he got into university leadership. He was the president of the Students' Council at the university, and he loved it. You know, He's that kind of person. And then after college, which evidently it's a natural progression, decided to run for a member of parliament seat. Because Kenya has a parliamentary system and a president. So he thought, well, I'll run for parliament to represent the area where I grew up, that constituency. And the existing members of parliament were quite a bit older at the time. There was like an old guard kind of thing, and he was very young, very vibrant, and had a vision for a different kind of leadership that was very threatening, evidently. And politics can get very dirty there, and so he faced a lot of opposition and some threats, and just back off, don't do it. And then he was poisoned once, and he survived that, and then he was shot at one time, and some very wise counselors were like, this is not worth dying for. You should just let it go for now. And so he thankfully had some friends and family now here, and decided to come to the U.S.
So how did you guys meet?
Yes, that's always the
You
question.
you gotta give me the story,
right?
now. Okay. You are from where?
I'm originally from Idaho. I grew up in the Boise area.
Okay, I couldn't take two more different places than Kenya and Idaho.
Right, oh my gosh. But so, it gets even kind of weirder, because we met in Oregon.
Okay.
We were both living in Eugene, basically in Oregon, going to the University of Oregon at the time. And that's where Gordon came to Oregon to live with a family who he knew. They offered to host him very graciously. So we were both at the university, and I had just started my PhD there in literature. And we met, by chance, basically. It's hard to believe now, but I say in the acknowledgments at the end that on our very first date in Eugene at an Italian restaurant, Gordon told me his entire life story. Just like lay it out there, and I think that was his move of like, this is me, this is what it is. If you're not okay with this, that's fine. But I thought it was fascinating, and I wanted to know more, of course. And then early on in our relationship, he said, well, I'd like to write my story, and share it with people, and share my struggles and the culture and everything.
Now you're sounding like my wife, because the literary background, I'm not allowed to send out anything I write without my wife reading it first. So I sympathize with Gordon that in the situation of writing your own story, but having a wife who's going to look over it at the time. Obviously, you add a lot to the story because you have the literature degree. Where do you guys live now? Where?
Right now we live near Seattle.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, we both live and work out there.
With this book behind you, and by the way, we got a couple of awards on that there. I know that you won an indie book award.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to mention that we won one in the Next Generation Indie Book Awards in the BIPOC category, which is books about Black, Indigenous, and/or persons of color.
Okay.
Which is very relevant, for this kind of a book.
So, are you guys You're living out in Seattle? Or are you involved? Does the political bug now still catch him?
Not as much. I mean, the Kenyan political situation has just moved on as it does, and it evolves, and there are new people have come up, and it's still as tumultuous as ever, I think. And so he's interested from a distance for now, but he does follow U.S. politics a lot, just because he's very into politics.
Okay, that's about him. I want to know about you.
Yeah.
What are you working on? What are you writing?
Oh, for me. So for me, I guess I'm in the very, very early stages of writing a memoir. I'd like to write, my own story about the experience of learning Swahili, again very relevant, while living in East Africa. So that's, which will be about the transformative experience of language learning and the cultural immersion of that. As you can tell, we are multicultural, multilingual people. Yes.
Obviously. So, how can I find out more? Folks are looking at this. Where can I find this book? Where can I find out more about Robin and Gordon? I'm fascinated now. Tell me where I can find out more about this book.
That's a great thing. Well, I mean, we are as much as possible on all the socials, so you can look for us there. The book is available on Amazon. It's available through Ingram for wholesale as well, and hopefully in your local library, in bookstores. If it's not, go there and ask them to
Tell them.
Yeah,
We got
tell them.
librarians here. You tell them to have this
Yes,
book in here,
tell
because it
them.
actually sounds like a fascinating book that should be in every library in
It
America.
should.
Now, if we're going to look
Yes.
on Facebook or whatever for
yes.
this, please do me a favor, spell the name, because they're not going to get it who's watching this.
Yes. Well, and the other thing, the
What
questions-
spell the name for me here. What we got? Okay.
OKUMU.
OKUMU. Robin and Gordon, OKUMU. When you're looking online, that's what you want to look up. That's what you want to look for. And you wanted to add one more thing?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say technically the publisher of the book is called, it's a little small, but it's called Angels of Africa Press, which is a non-profit publisher where all net proceeds go to humanitarian work in Kenya
Wonderful.
as well. So you can look that up. We have this blue circle logo. You can look for it.
Thank you very much. That is a fascinating story, Robin. I am really interested in this book. I think every librarian here should grab a copy of it and put it on their shelves. Thank you for being with us. Zoom into books.
Great.
Zoom, 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 zoom here in Philadelphia, PA, the American Library Association. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.